Common word. Exercise number 13. Time plays an important part in every action of every person throughout the day, yet, time is something about which we know very little and about which we understand even less. Full stop. If, in our desire to understand a little better the real meaning of time, we read a modern book on the subject, it is probably the experience of many of us that we understand it even less at the end of our reading than at the beginning, that we know indeed very little about the world in which we live. Full stop. We read, for example, that everything that has been still is, that everything which is to come in the future already exists. Full stop. We read that the events which make up life are like the stations along the railway lines. Full stop. A train is running along that line towards one of these stations. Full stop. It reaches the station. Full stop. Sorry, comma. It perhaps waits there for a very little while and then it passes on, leaving the station behind it. Full stop. But the station existed before the train reached it and it continues to exist after the train has left it. Full stop. In the same way, it is said the things which happen in life are there all the time waiting for us to reach them. Full stop. We reach them and experience them and pass on, leaving them behind us. Full stop. According to the writers of these modern books, these events existed before we knew of them and will continue to exist when we ourselves are no more. Full stop. They will exist, in fact, for as long as anything as we understand it exists. Full stop. Para. We read these statements and think carefully about them, and at first it seems that the statements cannot be true, that we cannot seriously be expected to believe them. Full stop. Then perhaps we remember some of the things we were told as children and which we have always believed to be true. Full stop. As children, we learned that many of the little points of light which appeared above us at night are really great bodies which are millions of miles away from the earth. Full stop. Light, we were told, moves at the rate of about 186,000 miles a second, but so far distant are these bodies from us that the light which we see coming from them is the light which left them thousands and in some cases millions of years ago. Full stop. Because of this fact, we learned if we could discover some method by which our eyes could see what was happening on one of these distant bodies, we should see not what is happening today, but what was happening ages and ages ago. Full stop. If people something like ourselves lived on those little points of light, and if they could see what was happening on our earth, they, looking at us today, would see not what is happening now, but what happened thousands or millions of years ago, according to the distance they are away. Full stop. But even when we remember these facts, it is for most of us difficult to get more than the smallest suggestion of an idea of what is meant when we are told that everything that has been, still is, and always will be. Full stop. It is difficult to believe that there will always be somewhere the picture of you as you sit reading these words. Full stop. Para. If we think of sound, it helps us to understand this point too little better. Full stop. We see a movement very much more quickly than we hear the sound resulting from that movement. For sound comes to us at only 1100 feet a second as against the 186,000 miles a second of light. Full stop. Let us say that I live half a mile from a big manufacturing plant, so that the sounds which come to me from the plant reach me about 2.5 seconds after the sounds were in fact made. Full stop. Let us say also that you live another half a mile down the road away from the plant. Full stop. You would hear the same sounds 2.5 seconds after I heard them. That is 5 seconds after they were made. Full stop.